Is the man retarded? Is the man retarded?
It's about I gotta say, it's the stupidest thing in sports.
Being able to run as he shoots the moon to the fans here in Green Bay.
That is a disgusting act by Randy Moss.
This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
Come back.
He used delusion being separate from the middle room.
This is BS Sports.
Welcome in on a Tuesday evening. Welcome in. I'm decked out in my Red Wings gear. My Red Wings are going to be playing on national television, playing the Rangers later tonight. And I was going to go into this show. It was going to be a fun show. It was going to be a happy show. Michigan State won a football game. The Lions were off on the bye, and they got healthy. Montgomery, Ragnow, and Jackson all look like they're going to play on Sunday. We had some great games in the NFL. The Red Wings had a nice weekend beating the Boston Bruins. And then MSU basketball. Playing a cupcake game early in the season, playing some school named James Madison University. And we'll get into it in just a little bit. Because I have wondered this whole offseason, this whole college basketball offseason, when Michigan State was getting all this praise, when this recruiting class was getting all this praise, when all the rankings put them super high, when they came into the season number 4 in the country. And I just was thinking, why? I mean, like, we have basically the same team we did last year, and we didn't even make the Elite 8. I mean, we made it to the Sweet 16, but like a lot, that's 15 other teams do that. And to me, it was the last year's team was, oh, you know what? We'll get into it. First things first, we're going to start on a happy note. All right. We're going to start on college football because Michigan State, they did it. I mean, bring in the choir, bring in the all the dancers and the fun time. Let the celebration begin because my goodness, Michigan State football won a football game. I mean, congratulations, Michigan State. MSU pulled off the win against Nebraska in what I can only describe one of the worst football games I've ever watched on both sides. It was awful. It was terrible. Nobody wanted to win this game. And frankly, I don't really blame them. Because this game had it all, okay? It had Michigan State offensively looking absolutely inept. It had Nebraska turning the ball over 1,000 different times in a million different ways. And it had not a single rushing touchdown from Michigan State. It had 2 total touchdowns from Michigan State. I just want to say, I just want to, or wait, was it 2 total touchdowns? Because it's 7, 14. Yeah, because then they kicked field goals. Yeah. So all I have to say about this game is, you know what? Shout out the defense because they actually look decent. I know it's Nebraska. I know they stink. I know their quarterback is his name looks like Heimlich, and I don't think he's gonna last very long there. But I cannot get over the fact that our leading rusher had 50 yards in Nathan Carter, 50 yards on 15 carries. And like, we still won the game. Like, what's crazier to me is we did this with 2 quarterbacks. One who threw 2 passes in Sam Levitt. Sam Levitt, who threw 2 passes, one of them for a touchdown. Sam Levitt's like the JMO of MSU quarterbacks, where he will be, generally speaking, you won't even notice him because he won't do much. And then the one time things go well for him, it's a touchdown. It's like JMO. Every time he catches the ball, it's a touchdown. I mean, what's happening? Like, but to get it to praise the defense a little bit here, okay? I mean, here, I want to look at the team stats because this is unbelievable. Okay. Nebraska was held to 129 yards total, or 129 passing yards total, which to me was more of a concern. Like this defense, apparently we do a decent job of stopping the run. I wasn't really familiar with this, but apparently we do a decent job of stopping the run. And we managed to do a better job stopping the pass than we did stopping the run. And, hey, turnovers are stats too. Shout out to the defense for making the turnovers, for stopping drives. Look, they weren't amazing on third down. They were 5 for 15. But it's not the end of the world, I guess. It wasn't the worst performance. And the other thing that I got to say that I'm impressed is obviously we won the game and they scored 17 points. But Nebraska had the ball longer than us. And yet, shout out defense. They stepped up. They didn't allow them to score. And it came a little close near the end. They were letting them have it for a little bit. They needed to it wouldn't be a Michigan State game without making it interesting for absolutely no reason. And they did that. But the other thing I want to point out is I don't really know what the future for the quarterback position is for this team. I mentioned it a little bit before, and here's the thing. I found it so strange. It was like they were doing a 2 QB system, switching out Caden Hauser and Sam Levitt. But, Sam Levitt only threw the ball twice. And my thing is, okay, Caden Hauser, I mean, whatever. You throw for 165 yards and a touchdown. All right, you know what? Fine. I'm not going to lose my mind over that. It's a decent performance from Caden. Caden seems like he can be okay. But they were trying to get Levitt involved. And to me, I was just kind of confused. I was like, well, if you're going to have him get involved, if you're going to switch him in, why is he not why is he not throwing the ball more? Like it doesn't make any sense to me if you're like, okay, we want to get a look at our other quarterback when you're the end of the season. We're probably not going to make a bowl. Let's take a look at who we got or what we got. And you let him throw the ball twice. I don't get that. That doesn't make sense to me. Okay. It's like you don't bring in your rookie running back and then start passing the ball, right? That doesn't, unless your name is Arthur Smith. But I just don't get it. And I'm imagining for the rest of the season, Caden Hauser is going to be the starter. But I wouldn't be surprised if for the rest of the season we see similar usage like this. Like when Caden Hauser has a bad possession, okay, Sam Levitt, you step in and see what you can do. Can you have a good possession? And just see who ends up with the most 3 and outs. It's a real contest at Michigan State of who can be the worst quarterback, basically. And again, I just want to let it be known. Okay. According to Mel Tucker, when he was still the coach of this team, Noah Kim was the starting quarterback. He won the QB competition. I guess according to Jay Johnson, according to Mel Tucker and all that. Noah Kim has not seen the ball since Iowa. And I'm not going to say the results have really changed. We won 1 game, but hey, man, Caden Hauser's got more Big Ten wins than Noah Kim did. I'm just saying. So shout out Mel Tucker for not having the ability to identify that Caden Hauser is definitely the better quarterback. Not that he's good. Again, it's a competition right now at Michigan State of who can be the best of the worst. And I wouldn't be surprised if Caden Hauser is still there, if Sam Levitt is still there next year. But it's just one of those things to me where I'm just like, whoever takes us over, if we want to be immediate successes, we got to look to the transfer portal for a quarterback. Because unless either of these guys, either Sam Levitt or Caden Hauser, take such a massive step forward, beyond recognition step forward, we're going to have to be a run-first team at that point. We're just going to have to be a run-heavy team. It's just not going to work. And look, again, it was an ugly win. You're going to win games ugly, especially when you're a bad team. That's pretty much the only way you're going to win games. And this week, we got Ohio State on the road at 7:30 on national television. NBC, again, wants to put us on their national Saturday night game. I don't know why. This is the 3rd game where they put Michigan State. Because I don't know if they can flex these games. I don't think it's like the NFL where you can be like, oh, actually, we were going to switch the match. To me, the big game coming up this week is going to be Michigan and Penn State. but they're not going to be able to change that because of the rest of college football. Okay, so college football. I need my list. College football schedule. It was actually a pretty fun week, all things considered. There was a lot of really solid games and a lot of things that happened that are of note. Story number 1. Notre Dame. Lou Holtz, coach of Notre Dame football. How that man ever got a head coaching job with that voice, God bless, honestly. But Notre Dame dropping an egg, laying an egg. I don't know, doing stuff, losing to Clemson. And they didn't just lose on a last second fit. No. They got destroyed. They were down 24-9 at the half. Kind of had a little fake comeback in the second half of the third quarter, and then they just gave up in the fourth quarter. Nobody wanted to play. And look, you look at the win probability of this game on ESPN. It's just a precipitous drop. It's like everything kept going wrong for Notre Dame. And look, Notre Dame, it's I hate that this seems to happen every year with this team where they start and you're like, wow, they look really good. Sam Hartman, maybe he's all right. Audric Estime, they got some cats on this team, right? They got some dogs. I like how I interchange cats and dogs, and they both mean essentially the same thing. I just want to point that out. But then they play like this. They just lose a game inexplicably to a team, a Clemson team that is at this point just fighting to try to get into a bowl game. They just lose it. I don't understand. I don't get it. I try because one of the things that I've heard a lot is okay, maybe they don't play a lot of tough teams. It's well, that's true. They do have total control of their schedule, and they'll schedule a lot of cupcakes. But they played Ohio State, and they played them pretty close. I mean, they played Duke, and they won that game. And that's not an easy game. They played some decently tough teams, and then they just do this. They play Clemson, who's on a toilet spiral down into the depths, and Cade Klubnik is you know what, I'm gonna be a decent quarterback. And I mean, he wasn't amazing. He threw for 109 yards. Picking a touchdown. But Phil Maffa, I mean, that is a name that if you say that to a Notre Dame fan, I think they will get genuine fear, like PTSD fear in their bones, in their very fiber of their being. Phil Maffa ran the ball 36 times for 186 yards and 2 touchdowns, a long of a 41-yard rush. Their leading receiver was Bo Collins, who caught the ball 3 times for 37. All Clemson did was run the ball right up Notre Dame. And Notre Dame just didn't do anything. They just didn't know what to do. I don't know. I've never seen this before. I didn't know teams could run the ball. It's a mystery to me. It's just, it's when neither team can pass the ball this game, to be fair. So Notre Dame, their leading receiver is Rico Flores Jr. He caught 1 ball for 35 yards. It's usually not ideal when your leading receiver caught just 1 ball. But it just seems to always happen that Notre Dame plays a game like this, where they just don't know how to play football. They just are I don't know. Let's see. We're gonna be really good, and then you know what? We're fine. We don't want to be good anymore. We've decided against it. It's a little too scary to be good. And look, they already lost 2 games. They were pretty much out of the college football playoff. But they are going to be going bowling. They have the 7 wins, so they're going to be playing in a bowl game. But I mean, I don't know. I feel bad, and not because I'm a Notre Dame slut. I don't hate Notre Dame. I know a lot of people don't like Notre Dame because their fans are kind of annoying and stuff. I don't know. People just don't like Notre Dame. I don't hate Notre Dame. I kind of, if Notre Dame was good, I feel like they would be good for college football. I feel they're a fun team. They're a historic team. Everybody knows about Notre Dame. Fighting Irish. Come on. They're a classic staple in college football. But they just do this. And it's inexplicable. You cannot explain it. It doesn't make any sense. Scientists have been researching it for decades. Nobody knows. Don't know what's going on. Story number 2, though, is Texas getting away with one over Kansas State. Okay, look, I'm going to say this right now. Kansas State, you should have won this game. I mean, or at least you should not have lost the game the way you did. So Kansas State and Texas are in a gun show. Okay, Kansas State was down 17-7 at the half, and they roared back. They have an explosive fourth quarter. They score 16 points in the fourth quarter, go into overtime. Game is on the line. Texas, they get the stop. They get the stop on Texas. Force them to kick the field goal. Texas gets the field goal. All right. All you need is a touchdown. Okay, touchdown wins you the game. But a field goal keeps you in the game. All right? They get a big play. Hold on. Let me see if I can get the actual. Can I get. Yes, here we go. The play-by-play. Can I get. I need the final. Here we go. OT. Here we are. So, 1st and 10. All right? They throw the ball. Will Howard throws the ball to Ben Sinnott for 19 yards, puts him at the Texas 6. All right? You got him dead to rights. You're in the 6-yard line. You could score a touchdown, but you're almost certainly going to kick a field goal. So you're almost certainly going to extend the game. Okay, first and goal. Texas at the Texas 6. Will Howard runs for 2 yards. Now the Texas 4, 2nd and goal. Okay, feeling even better. 2 extra yards. The field goal is basically a chip shot. All right, there's no way that this game ends in single overtime. Okay, then you throw the ball and it's incomplete. Okay, not ideal, Bob. But you know what? You get rid of it. That's fine. And then I don't know why it didn't show. Oh, okay. So wait, why does it not show the 4th and goal play? That's weird. Why does it not show the 4th and goal? That's weird. That's okay. It doesn't show the 4th and goal play, but 3rd and goal, throw another incomplete pass, and then you do it again. I don't know why it doesn't show the final play, but why they go for it on 4th and goal to me. That is just plain old dumb. I'm sorry. You have a chance to potentially knock out Texas from the college football playoff by giving them a second loss. Okay, you were at this point a number 23 ranked team in the country. All right, you have a chance to get yourself to at least top 15 to knock out number 7. And what do? You go for it on 4th and goal. You try to just get the win. I mean, I get it. Okay, you either kick the field goal, right, and then you just extend it. And you got to make another stop. But to me, it's like. Whatever. It's like you keep doing it until you can't win, right? Like you keep doing it until you have no other option. That's what's so I think that's its own. That's why college football overtime and football is its own thing. It's like you keep yourself alive as long as you can. Like I just don't get this. Like it's not like you're in regulation, right? Where maybe you go for a win in a game in a regulation situation, or like like. Even that, it's like I'm trying to think. It's like, no, you have to keep yourself alive. I mean, you go for it all. Okay. Now, what I mean is not so much like say, it's like 10 seconds and it's 1st and goal and you kick a field goal. It's like, no, you don't do that. You run a play, you take a shot, right? But that was not the situation. There's no time in overtime. Like you have all the time in the world. You have a timeout. You have timeouts you can use. You can do whatever you want. Okay, all you need to do is not get a delay of game. Essentially, you don't have to worry about play selection. Just run a play that can get you 4 yards, and you don't do that. Okay, if you're not going to do that, which is already risky, well, you have another option, right? Just kick the field goal. That'll tie the game up. It'll go to 2nd overtime. You're right back where you started, where you got to make a stop anyway, and you got to score. Like even if you don't kick that field goal, or you do kick that field goal, right? Like you would still have to make a stop, right? So say you kick the field goal and Texas scores a touchdown, you'd still have to score a touchdown anyway. Okay, like there's no scenario where you don't have to score a touchdown at some point, right? But there's no reason for you to, on 4th and goal, when you can still keep yourself alive for at least another set of time. Who knows? Maybe Texas throws an interception, and then that's it. Then you can march down to your side of the field, and you get a shot where you can just kick a field goal and you win. Like this was amazing to me. I couldn't believe it. And Texas, you got away with one. You're going to keep your playoff hopes alive and your Big 12 hopes alive. But geez Louise, man, that to me, I couldn't believe that. I was upset with Kansas State. I was upset with the Wildcats, and I don't even like Kansas State. So that was unbelievable to me. Unbelievable. Third story is Oklahoma State, man. They pulled off a win. Oklahoma State in a rivalry game pulled off the upset win of the century. And I mean the upset win of the century in that this may be the last time that these two teams meet. Well, it'll certainly be the last time these two teams meet as Big 12 teams. We don't know if it'll be the last time they meet in general, because it seems as though the relationship between these two universities is completely soured due to Oklahoma moving to the SEC and essentially abandoning Oklahoma State and not wanting to play them. So Oklahoma State says, you know what? If you're gonna leave us, we're gonna get the final bragging rights. And they did. They pulled off a really fine win. I mean, it was a really good game. I mean, back and forth, Oklahoma State was up 17-14 at the half. Then Oklahoma comes in, scores 7 in the third quarter, and then Oklahoma State finishes it off. Like, just looking at the box score, it really wasn't like I look at both these players and I'm like, yeah, I mean, they both pretty much played great games. The rushing attack was amazing. The passing attack was amazing. It was just a really good game. It wasn't super high scoring, but it was a lot of stats. I mean, Dylan Gabriel for the Sooners, for Oklahoma, 344 yards, touchdown and a pick. You don't like the pick. Alan Bowman, 334 yards and no touchdowns for him. But then you got Holy Gordon for running for 137 yards and a couple of touchdowns. And on the other side, Gavin Shawchuk running for 111 yards for a touchdown. And you got Drake Stoops on Oklahoma catching 12 balls for 134 yards and a touchdown. You got Rashad Owens on the other side catching 136 yards, no touchdowns. I mean, like, it's just one of those things where, like, look, the rushing attack for Oklahoma State was great. They had 3 rushing touchdowns the whole game. And the rushing attack for Oklahoma was also pretty good. They had a couple of rushing touchdowns themselves, and then the one passing touchdown. Like, it was just a good old-fashioned rivalry game. And to me, it's so sad that college football is moving away from these sort of classic matchups to go for the moneymakers. And look, the moneymakers, they might be good games too, but this is something that has been going on for literally 100 years. Like something that it's so classic. Oklahoma State, they have the natural ties. You don't have to force a rivalry to become to emerge, right? Like, I don't know. I could go on and on about the state of college football and how much worse it's getting, but that's its own thing. Finally. No, I got 2 more stories. 2 more. All right. And then we'll move on to, I guess we'll talk about the Michigan story. We'll talk about that. Alabama pulling off a nice win over LSU. And when I say a nice win, I mean like a signature Alabama win. I mean, they blew these boys to shreds. Like, you score 21 points in the second half to 7 points in the second half. This seems to be a theme with LSU, okay? Where, like, I mean, this game was tied at the half, 21-all, okay? This is just like Florida State LSU at the beginning of the season, where, you feel like both these teams got a shot, they're close, and then LSU just die. They don't know, they just fall apart. Like, I don't get it, given, like, there wasn't, like, it was some Jaden Daniels, shout out him because he had an amazing game individually. He was their leading rusher. He rushed for 163 yards, had a rushing touchdown, while also passing the ball for 219 yards and a couple of touchdowns and 1 pick. Like, he's a really good quarterback. Like, he really is one of those guys that I think is going to be taken in the draft, and he could do very well in the NFL. But I don't know if it's Brian Kelly. I don't know if it's just they don't have the personnel. I don't really know. But, like, how you can have like such an utter collapse of offense. Like this just seems to be a theme with LSU, or at least this has happened in 2 games in where they were in it at the half. They could have, came back in the Florida State game, excuse me, and in this game they was the same way. It could have been just a total gun, like a shootout. But then Alabama just brought out an AK-47 and blew up your house. Like it was just, I just don't get it. And, also shout out Jalen Milroe, who has every week gotten better. And, here's the thing, right? You look at his stat line, passed for 219 yards, no touchdowns. Okay, that's not that impressive. But you know what he did do? He ran for 155 yards and 4 touchdowns. He was Alabama's leading rusher. We had 2 teams whose leading rushers were their quarterbacks. Talk about fun. As far I had this game on multi-view. It was a fun game to have on in the background. I gotta say, it was. I wish it would have been closer, and I thought this would be a really good game, and it's hard to say that it wasn't, but at the second half, it just sort of died. It was just over. And look, Jaden Daniels kind of got beat up a little bit there. They had to swap him out for Garrett Nussmeier, but this to me, this could be the type of win that really pushes Alabama into that, where, hey, they're going to have to play for the SEC championship. And if they win that championship over Georgia, there's no shot that they're not in the college football playoff. Even if that is Georgia's only loss, okay? Because Georgia's in the West, I believe. I need to actually look at the conference. Hold on. Can I look at that? Alabama Crimson Tide. Yeah, Alabama's in the West. Can I not see schedule? I don't know if that's helpful. That is not helpful. Can I see the SEC? I don't. Okay, this is very okay. Here never mind. It's right there. Yeah. So Alabama, obviously in the SEC West, Georgia in the East. Okay. I mean, at this point, I pretty much just think it's going to be Alabama, Georgia in the SEC championship game. But from there, right? Let's assume Georgia goes undefeated into the championship game. Alabama already has 1 loss on the year to Texas. Now, assuming Texas wins the Big 12, which I think they very well could, that 1 loss is not really going to be all that detrimental to them. Now, if Texas goes out and loses the Big 12, if Oklahoma goes and wins the Big 12, you got another conversation. But either way, that's sort of on its own. If Alabama beats Georgia in the SEC championship and Georgia has 1 loss, there's no way you can keep Alabama out of the college football playoff. But there's also no way you can take Georgia out, in my opinion. Because if that's their only loss, I mean, you're going to take the 2-time repeating national champions. You're not even going to let them compete to try to get a 3-peat. There's no way they would do that. So that means you got Alabama and Georgia as the write-ins, essentially. And you have to have the winner of the Big Ten, which is probably going to be Michigan, okay? So then you got number 3, right? And now we're in this weird situation. Let's assume then that Ohio State's only loss is to Michigan. Well, now we're in, what do we do now, right? Does Ohio State get in over Florida State? What if Florida State wins the ACC? There's no way you put Ohio State in there over a Florida State who wins the ACC. But then again, we also have the Pac-12. We also have Oregon or Washington. What if Washington goes undefeated and wins the Pac-12? You're going to keep Washington. This is why playoff expansion was needed. But this also, if Alabama goes out and wins the SEC, all hell is going to break loose. I'm telling you, this it's going to be absolute. That is, to me, if I had to think of a scenario where that the college football playoff committee that they fear, it is Alabama going and winning the SEC. That to me, winning out, assuming they win out, because if they lose another game, that's fine. They're just not gonna. They don't care. Even if they win the ACC, if they win the SEC, it's still fine because they can just be like, all right, we're gonna do Michigan, Ohio State, Florida State, and then the winner of Pac-12. We're just not even gonna do an SEC team. Which I don't know if they would do that, but they could at least be like, well, we wanted to include just the winners of their conferences, and this winner actually had 2 losses, so we can't really use them, and blah, 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 right? I mean, there's 5 conferences, so one conference is going to be left out inevitably. And I really hope it's not the Pac-12, because if Washington or Oregon are not, at least I need one of those teams. I have to have Michigan, and I hate to say that as a Michigan State fan. I have to have Michigan. I have to have the winner of the SEC because it's the SEC, and then I gotta have the winner of the Pac-12. And honestly, I mean, it's hard for me to argue for a team that doesn't win their conference out of the SEC, Pac-12, Big Ten, and ACC. Like I can't imagine any other. Like I'm not putting a Big 12 team in there. I'm sorry, Texas, I can't do it. But speaking of the Pac-12, we have one more story in college football this week, and that was the absolute gun show that was Washington USC. I'm going to read off some stats, okay? I'm just going to read off some team stats for both these teams, okay? Washington, 27 first downs, 7 for 10 from third down, a total amount of yards of 572, scoring 52 points. 256 of those yards were passing, 316 of them were rushing. They had the ball for 34 minutes and 40 seconds. USC, 24 first downs, 4 for 9 from third down, 312 total passing yards, total yards, 515, 203 total rushing yards, 25 minutes and 20 seconds controlling the football. 1 interception, 1 fumble for each team combined. As in, I said that really weird. 1 turnover for each team, an interception for Washington, and a fumble for USC. Both teams in yards per pass over 8. This game was like playing Madden, where you don't care about defense. Defense is for chumps. Defense is for losers. Nobody cares about defense. All it is throwing the deep shot to Antonio Brown or Calvin Johnson or Jerry Rice. I don't know whatever Madden you're playing, Randy Moss, whichever Madden you're playing. That's what this game was. Like, I was satisfied. Okay, I didn't want to see any defense from either of these teams. And look, Washington pulls off the win. They remain undefeated. This is another marquee game, I feel, for Michael Penix. Threw for 256 yards, a couple of touchdowns, had the interception. But the other thing, too, is he threw for 256 yards. Dylan Johnson, he ran for 256 yards as well. He ran for as many yards as his quarterback threw. That's not easy, okay? That's not easy at all. He had 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns. Hey, what's crazy is it really wasn't. There wasn't any one guy in particular. I mean, you had Rome Odunze. I'm totally mispronouncing that name. He caught for 82 yards on five receptions, but like there wasn't any one player where you're like, oh yeah, they blew it out of the water, right? Like they were so good for Washington, and yet they put up 52 points. I mean, like you got their DC fired. You got the Grinch who stole defense for USC. You got him fired. And look, it's one of those things, and I want to point this out because this was a storyline about the game. So the end of the game, I didn't see this apparently. This must have been after the game. I must have turned it off at this point. Apparently, Mr. Caleb Williams, who had a really great game, passed for 312 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's a fantastic game from Caleb Williams. He also ran for 16 yards, to his credit. I mean, that's elite stuff. I mean, he's one of the best quarterbacks in college football right now, no doubt about it. Okay, but Mr. Williams got a little emotional. Apparently, after the game, he was spotted crying. I saw that it was somebody. I don't know if this is real. Was it his mother was in the crowd and he's hugging her and he got emotional. I don't know if it was his mother. I don't know who he was crying to. But okay, I'm of two minds of this, right? Because there's basically 2 wolves inside me, right? There's wolf number 1. We'll call him the white wolf. I don't know. I'm just using colors. The white wolf is saying, I get it. It's emotional. You played a really great game and you lost. I mean, you put everything into it. You've been working your whole life to play, and your team is they just can't win, and you get lost in it. I understand. Okay. And there's the Black Wolf. All right. There's the Black Wolf. I need a black and white. It's just what I coming up. This is not a scripted show, and the Black Wolf in me is saying, "What are you crying on the sideline for? There's no crying in football. I don't care if you lose by 1,000. You don't cry." And I don't know which one's winning. I really don't, because I do sympathize for him as a human being. I see that and I'm like, I don't want to see a grown man cry. And he's not a grown man. He's, I don't know, 20, 21-ish around that. I don't know how old he is. Actually, I could see. I could just pull up his page. How old is he? He is, okay, it tells me he's a junior. It doesn't give me his age. Bio? Birthplace, DC. It gives me his birthplace. It doesn't give me his age. Okay, he's a junior, so yeah, you're like 21. Okay, he's 21 years old, and the Red Wings are losing right now. That's great. So he's 21 years old, roughly. So he's not a grown man, but like, I don't know. I never played football at a high level. I wasn't even all that into football when I was, I was into football when I was his age, but I wasn't all that into football when I was like, 18 or whatever. But like the idea to me that, okay, it's like, I struggle with this because Caleb Williams kind of does a lot of things that annoy me, where he'll talk about how, and now to be fair, this wasn't, this wasn't ever like provided with a source, but apparently he wanted, some share of ownership of whatever team he gets drafted by, which to me is just like, dude, you haven't even won anything in college other than the Heisman, which is a, it's not a team award, right? Like you're talking about, you want to own a team. And then he's also basically the face of a lot of the NIL stuff, getting, millions of dollars. I'm good for him. He's done a good job marketing his image. He's on all the commercials. Good for him. But like, to then, like, when things are going bad, you love it. You're high on life when things are going good. Everything's great. I love it. I'm so cool. I'm the best quarterback ever. Everybody loves me. Who doesn't love me? And then as soon as you lose a couple of games, you're on the sideline. You're crying. I'm just like, man, you still got your whole career ahead of you. What are you doing crying? I mean, like, I'm not, I think there's something to be said about, as the leader of your team, you probably shouldn't show a lot of emotional vulnerability, especially after a loss, and not in a way that is, because at the same time, it's like there's different circumstances, it's sort of like to me, it feels like Caleb is sort of out for Caleb. It doesn't, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm reading too much into his character. It seems like Caleb is out for Caleb, as opposed to like, I've seen head coaches after losses cry. I mean, Dan Campbell did it. And that came from like not that he wanted it, not that he wanted to win. Well, obviously he did want to win, but that he wanted it also for his team. And again, maybe I'm totally just spinning this in a way that makes Caleb Williams seem like a bad guy. I don't really know. I don't hate Caleb Williams. Sometimes he gets on my nerves. And I don't know. I can't completely slam dunk on the man. It's an emotional situation. I get it. But I also don't think that a quarterback if my quarterback started crying after a loss, I mean, I would just be like, I wouldn't feel great. I'd be like, oh man, that's embarrassing a little bit. Like I don't really understand the appeal in modern society of like, oh yeah, men just gotta be like super emotional all the time, and like it's so great when men cry. It's like, why is it? I mean, like, I'm not saying they gotta be, just like a stonewall, like they have no emotion and they're just totally It's like, yeah, but they shouldn't just like be constantly crying. I mean, like, not that he's constantly crying, but like they shouldn't when a man cries, it shouldn't be like encouraged in a sense. Like, it shouldn't be like, oh yeah, it's great that you're crying. It should be like, man, I get it. It's rough. He tried to hold it back and he couldn't do it. And that's tough, but we're rooting for you. I'm not really rooting for you, Caleb. I'm not rooting against you. This isn't really a competitive. I'm not a USC fan, so I don't know what you want from me. But that is about it for college football this week. Let me take a look here, though. Take a look at the week ahead before we close it out. So, big games this week. We got a few. Okay, big one for me is Michigan and Penn State. Okay, Michigan coming off of their bye. This whole sign stealing thing. We don't know what's going to happen. Apparently, something's going to happen tomorrow because that was the Big Ten gave Michigan 48 hours notice, and that would be over on Wednesday. So we'll see what happens from there. I think this is going to be a really interesting game to watch for sure. I don't really believe in Penn State. I think Michigan right now, they're sort of playing with house money. So like, I don't see them losing this game. I do, however, see Penn State looking awful this game, even though they had a really nice win against Maryland. I don't care. I just don't care. You got the best win in the universe against Maryland. I don't care. You look like trash. So I just can't do it. The other games to watch, a little bit of a sneaky one, okay? You got Tennessee, Missouri, okay? 2 top 15 teams, 2 SEC East teams. Could be an interesting game. The other game to keep an eye out for is Utah, Washington. Washington, again, trying to compete for the Big 12, Pac-12, still undefeated. Utah is not an easy opponent. It's going to be back in Washington, and Utah's lost a couple of games where you're like, it's not ideal. But Utah fighting for their life, I think. I don't know if they have a chance to win the Big 12 or he's in the Big 12, the Pac-12. But Washington, they want to keep it going. So look, I'm going to be keeping an eye out for that game. That game's going to be on Fox at 3:30. And the other game to watch here is Ole Miss, Georgia. So again, Ole Miss, let me see. Can I get where Ole Miss is in the standings? So Ole Miss, credit them. They also only have one loss. They have an avenue to at least compete for the SEC championship. And I think a win here, if Ole Miss can pull it off, they enter into that conversation. So it's certainly not over for Ole Miss. So they're going to be fighting for their life there. That game's at 7. That could be potentially the game of the week. Although I'd probably put it more on either Penn State, Michigan, or actually I don't know. I think that game could be really good. I'm keeping an eye out for that game. And I guess I'll talk about Michigan State and Ohio State. Actually, no, just kidding. Michigan State's going to die. It's going to be the worst game ever. They're going to put up 100 on us probably. If Michigan State manages to win this game, I'll pop the champagne. I'll say that. But they're not going to win, so I have nothing to worry about. All right, so that's enough college football. We've talked all about that, at least in the football room. Because there's a story that's been going on, and we briefly mentioned it just a couple of weeks ago, I think at this point, back when my voice was dead, is that Michigan was caught cheating. They were caught cheating. And in the midst of all this, the man at the head of it, the mystery man, the man behind the curtain, Mr. Connor Stalions, resigned from Michigan a couple of days ago. He resigned, right? Now, to me, this is just like, he was asked into, the president, Coach Harbaugh, and the athletic director's office. Yeah, sure. What's going on? Yeah, we're just going to have to ask that you, maybe just pack your bags and don't come back. But, like resign, like voluntarily, like you choose to do this, right? Like, I mean, there are some people, I got to say, some Michigan fans, I don't know what you guys are smoking. I mean, people are saying, oh no, he resigned. He didn't get fired. Yeah, okay. Yeah, he resigned. Yeah, and I'm the Queen of England. Right. No, he didn't resign. He got fired it happens when you get caught cheating. Michigan's looking for their fall man, and I think Connor Stallings is certainly deserved of being the fall man since he broke all the rules and was cheating and leading the cheating scandal. But amongst this, Michigan apparently refuses to believe that they actually did anything wrong, because Michigan, this came out earlier today, alleges that Ohio State, Rutgers, and Purdue were sharing the Wolverine signals for last year's Big Ten championship, or not last year's, or actually maybe, no, it was last year's Big Ten championship game. So here's the thing, okay? Here's the big takeaway. So this was a Bleacher Report article based on a Sports Illustrated article by Pat Ford and Richard Johnson, as they are trying to fight back against the sanctions that the Big Ten and the NCAA and anybody is trying to level on them. But there's one big thing, okay? One big paragraph that a lot of Michigan fans, I don't know if they're a little hard of seeing. Maybe they haven't read much. Maybe they didn't go to Michigan, so they don't really know that much about reading and words and sentences. But here's the main sentence of this article, and I quote, Ford and Johnson noted sharing signal information between schools is permitted by NCAA rules. Let me say that again. Ford and Johnson noted sharing signal information between schools is permitted by NCAA rules. One more time. Ford and Johnson, those are the people who wrote the Sports Illustrated article, noted sharing signal information between schools is permitted by NCAA rules. Now, right then and there, case closed. Whatever Michigan is saying that Ohio State and Rutgers and them were doing, it doesn't matter. Teams are allowed to do that. Point blank, full stop. End of story. That's it. And of course teams are allowed to do this. First of all, here's the scenario, right? If Michigan is saying, oh, look, they're trying to collude against us. It's like, first of all, okay, teams are not obligated to tell other teams about other team signals. So let me use an example, okay? So let's use our imagination, okay? Let's say Michigan State, let's go back to 2021 even. Michigan State beats Michigan, okay? So let's say Ryan Day calls Mel Tucker up on the phone. Now, it's not at a hotel, so Mel Tucker is not going to be, you know what. So he calls Mel Tucker, and he's like, hey, Mel, what's going on, buddy? I noticed you beat Michigan this year. I was curious if you guys noticed, what signals they were wearing, if you could give me some advice on what they were doing. Mel Tucker could say to Mr. Day, he could say, hey, Ryan, good to hear from you, but I have one problem. He could hang up the phone. He could say, I don't want to help you. Why would I help you? I'm not helping. I don't care if you beat me. I don't really care. And so for one, there's that. So to say oh, it's not fair that other teams are trying to get our son. It's like teams are not obligated to give or not give away information to other teams. So the fact that other teams are willing to give information out about you, hey man, sucks. Get over it. It's not. What do you want? It's like that's just how it goes. But the other thing to know about this last part of the sentence, the last part of this paragraph is, quote, it's also unclear whether opposing schools decoded the Wolverines' play calling by improper means, which Stallions is accused of doing. And that is the question. How did OSU and Rutgers get the signals? And what it seems like is that they got them from game film and from playing them and from watching the games on TV and noticing things. It's, called game prep. The thing is, it's funny. All the former players, Robin Griffin III, J.J. Watt, all these guys who are like, oh, this is just called game prep. This is just game prep. It's like, where are they now? When Michigan is trying to levy the same nonsense, when it actually is the thing that they were saying it was. Because they immediately just downplay it, right? They immediately say, oh, it's just game prep. It's not cheating. People who think this is cheating are total idiots. It's like, no, because the thing is, how you get the signals matters. It's like the Astros. When the Astros got caught in a sign stealing situation, nobody was saying it is illegal to steal signs. It's not illegal to steal signs. If your team is dumb enough that your signs are so easily decodable that an offensive coordinator or a player on the field or whoever can identify what you're going to do in just, in real time, in game. In the case of baseball, if you get to second base and you can see what the catcher is signaling and you can tell which pitch is coming from which, like, good on you. You're just able to do that. And you can do whatever you want with that information. But the idea that is the same thing as then what the Astros did, where they had a hidden camera in center field that was zoomed in on the catcher and then had a guy watching the feed and then slam it on a trash can to tell the hitter, swing, don't swing, essentially. And, like, that is just what was happening to a slightly different extent, where you had Connor Stallions being like, all right, boys, you're going to go to Rutgers game, you're going to go to Michigan State's game, you're going to go to Penn State's game, you're going to go to Georgia's game, you're going to go to whoever's game, and we're just going to have you guys figure out other signals. We're going to put them all together in a shared drive, and we're going to have that information going into the game. And then, knowing that they might change their signals as the year goes by, we'll let people attend multiple games. So that we have like 3 lists of like, okay, they could be using this signal, that signal. Or this line of thinking, whatever. And then you're able to just say, okay, let's play, I don't know, we're playing Indiana. I just saw they're showing a highlight of Michigan against Indiana. Or they're playing Indiana. Okay, first half. Let's say Indiana is looking real good. Michigan doesn't know what they're doing on defense. I don't know what's going on. What do you? Oh, you know what? They're using the B signals. Okay, switch over. We'll use the B. Okay, now we're good. Like that's not the same thing as a team being like, hey, when I played them, when they did this, they did that. I don't know. Like, it's not definitive, for one. It's one game. You can't even necessarily take a coach at their word, right? Like, it's the idea that this is the same thing to me is just ridiculous. It's just point blank ridiculous. But hey, man, you're dealing with Michigan fans. I don't know. They don't. A lot of them don't know their foot from their head. I don't know. It's confusing for them. So we'll see what happens. I think we're probably going to get news about this tomorrow. But as it stands now, doesn't look good for Michigan. And wouldn't be surprised if they had wins taken away. Wouldn't be surprised if coaches are suspended. And we'll see what I really don't know what the punishment is. But it's clear to me that they cheated. So there's really no getting around it at this point if you're a Michigan fan. And let's see, where do we want to go here? Do we want to go into the NFL? No, because I don't want to end the show on this. Okay, I have to talk about Michigan State basketball. Okay, we're gonna stick with college. Michigan State basketball is the most overrated team in college basketball. Absolutely, no doubt about it. The most overrated team in college basketball. Okay, I want to point this out. Okay. Let me pull up some of the team stats, okay? Michigan State from the free throw line, free throw percent, okay? 23 for 37. I'm not expecting you to go 100%, but you went 62%, okay? That's a failing grade. In school, you don't pass the class. 23 for 37 from that. But that's not even the most egregious thing, okay? 5%. Do you know what that number is? That is the percentage of three-pointers Michigan State made. And you're probably thinking, well, maybe they shot a lot of threes. Well, maybe they did. How many do you think they made? Well, they attempted 20. And they made 1. 1 for 20. Absolutely inexcusable. And I don't want to hear about, oh, well, James Madison is favored to win the song. I don't care if they're favored to win the not in tournament, the NIT. I don't care about any of that nonsense. You should have beaten this team by 100. You want to know how I know you should have beaten this team by 100? Okay? Let me show you something. Let me show you what other games happened last night, okay? Kansas played North Carolina Central. They won 99-56, okay? Duke played Dartmouth, won 92-54. Purdue played Samford, won 98-45. Need I go on? Marquette, 92-70 over Northern Illinois. Any more? Okay. UConn, 95-52 over Northern Arizona. Should I continue? Yes, I should. Houston, 84-31 over UL Monroe. Tennessee, 80-42 over Tennessee Tech. Arizona, 122-59. And you're telling me that the number 4 ranked team in the country, the 4th best team, according to the AP, has to lose a game in overtime in their home opener to a team that's favored in the freaking Sun Belt? Are you kidding me? No! This team is a bunch of frauds. I don't care that it's one game. You know what it is? It's one game until it's not. All right? I've heard that a million times with this team. Oh, it's one game. Oh, it's early. They'll bounce back. I've heard this a million times. Because you know what's going to happen? Let me show you Michigan State's schedule. Let me show you what's going to happen. All right? Michigan State goes to Southern Indiana on Thursday. Well, obviously, I would hope they win that game. And everybody feels great. Everything's great. I don't care. Who cares? We're doing great. Then we're going to play Duke. We might play them close, but we're going to lose that game. Guaranteed. Then we'll play Butler, and maybe we win that game. It's like, oh, hey, Butler's not terrible. And then we play Alcorn State, and we win that game. And we're like, oh, we won a couple in a row. And maybe we beat Arizona. And we're like, oh, things are going swell. And we got Georgia Southern, and we beat them. And things feel great, and we're getting on a little win streak. And then we start to lose some games, and maybe we lose to Wisconsin, or we lose to Baylor, and we get into the tournament. We lose in the Big Ten tournament, obviously, because that's just given. And then we get into the tournament, and we won the first game. Look at us, Michigan State. We beat Colgate. I don't know. We beat Davidson, the University for the deaf and blind. And then what's gonna happen? We're gonna get into day 2, and that's what's gonna happen. We're gonna lose, and then I'm gonna hear, well, next year should be great. You just wait until Steve Carr or Cohen Carr. Wait until he breaks out. Unbelievable. Okay, it's unbelievable. You know what's bad is when your whole offense is Tyson Walker. I was gonna say Trayvon Walker. That's a totally different human being. Tyson Walker scored 35 points. That is damn near half the points that were scored the whole game. We scored 76 points. 35 times 2 is 70. That is damn near 50% of our points. And you know what's crazy? Is he missed 6 free throws. And you know what the difference was? We could, if he made 4 of those free throws, we would have won the game. But hey, let me just point out some of the masterclass performances from our starters. Okay, here we go. All right, Malik Hall, the senior, by the way, Malik Hall, who came back. He came in and he had 4 points, 2 assists, 6 boards. Absolutely unforgivable. Mari Sissoko, our center. Okay, our center, 4 points, 1 block, no steals, no assists, 4 boards. You had less rebounds than a forward, Marty. You're a center. You're the tallest guy on the court. Don't worry, we still have Jay Nakins, 4 points, 1 assist, 11 boards. Our leading rebounder the whole game was Jay Nakins, who, let me point out to you, is a crisp 6'4". He's one of the shorter guys on the team. And then A.J. Hoggard, who was our second leading starting scorer, 9 points, had 3 assists, and 4 boards. Then you had, of course, Tyson Walker, who dropped 35. Cohen Carr should be starting over Malik Hall. Malik Hall, I don't want to see you again. I really don't. I'm done with you. Okay? Cohen Carr, in his debut, 14 points. He had 6 boards. He didn't have a single assist. But hey, you scored 14 points. You got my attention. All right? You got my attention. All these other guys, pretty much nothing. I mean, basically nothing off the bench. Cohen Carr was our whole bench. Pretty much nobody else got any points. Carson Cooper, no points. Trey Holloman had 1 basket, and it was the 1-3. The lone 3 of the game. Xavier Booker, 2 points. I mean, it's just like, you can't do it. You can't do it. You shoot 36% from the field, you're going to lose. You're going to lose. You shoot 5% from 3, you're going to lose. And they do this where they let a team get ahead of them by double digits. We were down 13 by as much as 13 this whole game. And of course that you're not going to come back from that. I had to argue with some people. They're like, no, it's early. It's only been like 10 minutes. Guys, you're down double digits to a team you should be blowing to smithereens. It's not hard to figure out that it doesn't matter that you have so much more talent. If you go down 13, it essentially means you need to go on a net 14-0 run. You need to score 14 points to take the lead, or you need to net 14 points. That is not an easy thing to do. And it's especially not easy when your starters are scoring outside of Tyson Walker for a combined 4, 8, 12, 21. Honestly, 2 starters on James Madison scored as many points as 4 of our starting 5. Unbelievable. I've never been so mad at a team. And look, at this point, I know that it's technically speaking still early, but the idea that this team is one of the best teams in the country, it's absolutely laughable. No, this team is not one of the best teams in the country. This team would be lucky to win the Big Ten. There's no way. They would have to completely alter the roster. Malik Hall would have to have 5 minutes a game, and Cohen Carr would have to get 100 minutes a game. Like, the only way that this team is any better than the team it was last year is if Cohen Carr and Xavier Booker and any of these other cats that have been brought in are any good. And that's putting a lot of pressure on a bunch of freshmen. I'm sorry. So unless Cohen Carr is Zion Williamson, which he's not, then what are we doing? Honestly, what are we doing? So that is my angry rant for today. And it won't be my last one. Don't worry. We have other things to discuss. I guess we can do some happier news. Let's mix it in. Okay. Let's do baseball. All right. Rangers. Hey, won the World Series. Good for them. First World Series in franchise history. Over 50 years in Texas. They finally got it done. Look, I got to say, that was a really fun Rangers team. I was a little let down by the World Series in general. I was expecting it to be a little bit more competitive. I thought it would go more than 5 games. But hey, man, the Rangers, they deserve it. They were built well. Corey Seager with the World Series MVP, and Marcus Semien and Jonah Heim and Josh Young and all those guys. I mean, it's just a great team. Max Scherzer, Adolis Garcia. I mean, you had so many. I'm happy for them all. I really am. I really like this Rangers team. And look, to me, the Rangers are kind of the model at this point. Like, they went from a 100-loss team 2 years ago to a World Series champion. That's the model. And frankly, so are the Diamondbacks. And the Diamondbacks didn't spend that much money. So I think the two models right now, I mean, maybe this is just recency bias, it's the Rangers and it's the Diamondbacks. I mean, you look at the Padres and you look at the Mets, 2 teams that spent big and they're poo-pooing themselves. I mean, they're selling off, like the Padres are thinking about selling off Juan Soto or Fernando Tatis. It's like the whole experiment didn't work. And you look at the Rangers, oh, we lost 100 games 2021. Who cares? We're going to go out and get Corey Seager. We're going to go out and get Marcus Semien. We're going to go out and try to win, add competitive players, and win for the future. And this is going to be a good Rangers team for a while. I don't think this is a one and done, and I think the Diamondbacks are certainly a team to look out for in the future as they grow and develop and get better. So a lot could go well for the Rangers. And just speaking for the offseason right now, hey, Tigers make a trade. Pick up Mark Canha. Now, let me pull up Mark Canha's numbers. So Mark Canha played for a couple of teams last year. He was a 2-WAR player last year. He had 111. He had 11 home runs, batted .262, and had 62 RBIs. Had 108 OPS plus, 755 OPS. He was a solid player in 2021 or 2022 or 2023. That's the year we're in right now. And look, he was He's sent away at the by the Mets to the Brewers, where he was a solid hitter for the Brewers. Obviously he played in the playoffs with the Brewers, and that didn't go very well for them. But either way, this to me is like, this is the kind of ad that I'm not gonna jump up and down. I mean, Mark Canha's 34, and we picked up his player option, so we're gonna have him for at least a couple of years. Mark Canha's a vet. Okay, Mark Canha is a respectable bat. He's a guy that can get on base. Clearly, 755 OPS. That's an on base kind of guy. He's not gonna smoke the ball into the seats every single inning or every time he gets up, but he's gonna get on base. He's gonna slap some singles into right field. That's all I can ask for. At least for right now. Like, the other thing too is he adds some versatility in terms of how we're going to fix this or how we're going to add to this lineup. Because you imagine a lot of our young prospects like Colt Keith, like Justin Henry Malloy, like these other guys, probably going to be called up by the start of next season. And it's one of those, I was discussing it and viewing discussions from fans and Discord and Reddit. And it's like, to me, when I hear people say, how are we going to add Josh Jung or Jace Jung? How are we going to add in Colt Keith? How are we going to just – it's like, this is a good problem to have. You have a lot of players where you're like, you want to use as many of them as possible in different situations. And that, to me, it's like, I remember hearing this before. It's like, you're a good team, or you're in the right direction when the guys who were your starters a year ago are your backups now. And it's not because the guys that were your starters are like the worst players ever. It's because they're just not starters. They're third stringers. They're limited role guys. Somebody like Zach McKinstry, right? Zach McKinstry's not a terrible baseball player, but he's not a great baseball player, right? He can have his little streaks. He can get a little hot sometimes, but overall, he's like a slightly below average, maybe average player. And Mark Canha, so he might not be that level either, right? Like he's not going to get any better than what he is. He's a career 250 hitter. Like he's pretty much just going to be like middle of the road. But you throw in Mark Canha, that means you can put Mark Canha out in the outfield. You can put Carpenter at DH. You can put Malloy at third base. You can put Keith at second base. You could maybe you move McKinstry to short if you don't like Javi Baez, because who does? Maybe you put Vierling at third. And you put Colt and Malloy. I don't know. There's a lot of ways you can do this. Like, there's a lot of ways you can fumble around with the lineup, and it allows AJ Hinch to do that. And that to me is a good sign. And I hope this isn't the only move we make. I hope we go and we sign someone who's a competent ball player, whether it's a pitcher, whether it's bringing back Erod, or whatever it is. I'm looking to have this player. I'm looking to add right now. Like, I'm not looking to just get bad, because we have a chance where we can win this division and make a playoff game or make a playoff series if we actually try for it, because our division stinks and it's not going to get any better anytime soon. So I think this is step one, and we'll go from there. Now, with that being said, we will move on now, I think, to the NFL, because we pushed out the NFL. The Lions did not play this week, so don't have a lot of Lions talk to talk about, but we got some games, okay? Story number one, crazy comeback week, okay? The Vikings and the Texans, both teams having crazy comebacks. Josh Dobbs, who 5 days before the game was not on the team. He just arrived. And he comes in. He was not the starter because he was not ready to start. But he comes in, and he leads the Vikings to a comeback win over the Falcons. I mean, look, I don't know what you do with the Falcons. I sort of alluded. I made a bit of a funny where I referenced Arthur Smith. Like, Arthur Smith, okay, your team drafts Bijan, right? Draft Bijan Robinson in the first round, like pick number 7 or 8. I don't remember what it was. And you do that so that you can not run the ball with Bijan. What are you doing? I don't understand it. Like, they had like one of the best rushing attacks last season when they didn't make the playoffs, and you figure, oh, okay, they draft Bijan, they're just gonna be like a run heavy team. They're gonna just be a run up the gut and see how long it takes until you give in. But they're just, I don't know, maybe there's something wrong with the Falcons. Taylor Heineke, Credit to him. He didn't play a terrible game, but geez Louise. If you lose to Josh Jacobs defensively, you got to feel awful. And then also, I mean, just you had the game. Yeah, like the Vikings are one of those teams that just never say die. I mean, like, I got to give him credit. Kevin O'Connell, man, he's not a fraud. He's a good head coach. He knows what he's doing. He can lead a team to victory. But right now, the personnel situation for the Vikings is just not ideal. So they're going to need to do that. But personnel situations, speaking of, I said that backwards. The Texans, man, they might have had something, and they might have hit on something with C.J. Stroud. I mean, I was not a high on C.J. Stroud. I don't believe in Ohio State quarterbacks. And look, it's still we're just at about the halfway point in the season. It's not out of the realm of possibility that C.J. Stroud just starts to fall apart a little bit. But I don't know that I believe it. I mean, he has game in and game out just looked like a dog. He's just looked really good. And the thing about it is, like, they had this game lost. Like, the Buccaneers had come back last second. Mike Evans from Baker Mayfield, touchdown. The game was over. As far as so you had like 40 seconds. I was like, oh, please, this is it. I mean, like they're going to have, like, all they got to do is make one stop, right? Like, and yeah, I don't remember the timeout situation, but like all they got to do is get one stop. And C.J. Stroud said, nah. He throws the ball deep, gets him into the red zone, throws one more pass into the end zone, game over. I mean, that's sort of like, it was one of those things where, like, I looked away. I was typing something else. I was looking at something. I look back, I'm like, wait, how did they won? How did that happen? It's just crazy. Like, it really is credit to the Texans. DeMeco Ryan and the Texans, and with Will Anderson and C.J. Stroud, look, they might have turned a corner. They might be a fun team by next year if they make some right moves. Look out, Jacksonville, because you Texans, they might be closer than they think. So, we'll see. Here's the other thing. Okay, the Chiefs went to Germany and they beat the Finns, the Dolphins. And my question is, are you concerned about the Dolphins? Am I concerned about the Dolphins? Are we all, as a human species, concerned about the Finns? I hate to do this. I hate to do the who have you beat game. The problem is the Dolphins, I don't think, have beaten somebody who's above 500. And I really hate this game. I do. I don't like using it because I just think it's weak because it's the NFL and anybody can beat anybody in this league. Even if it's rare, even if it's, difficult, there's always a path for any team to beat any team. Like, not that I would bet on, say, the Cardinals to beat the Chiefs, but just that there's an avenue for that, right? Like that it could exist. The thing about the Dolphins to me that scares me is they put up a lot of big numbers against bad teams. And it puts them at the number one spot in offense, number one in yards and all that. And then they play a really good team. And they don't play amazingly. They played okay at the end. Like they had a chance to tie the game up. Overall, it wasn't a great performance, but they kind of figured it out near the end of that game. But it's like, when I think of the Eagles game, where they just didn't show up, I don't know what happened there. And then I think of this game, and it's like, it's hard for me because I think of, like, okay, people were making the same sort of criticism toward the Lions. But I'm like, okay, hold on a second. Lions have lost 2 games. One of those losses was a blowout to the Ravens on the road, okay? That game, that was a wash. That was bad. Everybody was bad. It was terrible. Everything was going right for the Ravens. The other loss, though, was an overtime loss to the Seahawks. And the idea, like, we were playing well on offense that whole game. Nobody was playing well on defense, clearly. I mean, it goes into overtime. Both teams score over 30 points. Neither team was playing all that well on defense. Ultimately, obviously, Seattle plays better on defense as they win in overtime. And then you also look, it's like, well, we beat the Chiefs. Like, we held the Chiefs to 20 points. We have the Chargers this Sunday. I think that's going to be a decently tough game. We beat the Packers on the road. It's never an easy game. I've just asked the Rams. It's an easy game to win. Beat the Buccaneers on the road. That's not a like. That's the problem I have with this is like at the time when these games are happening, people are like, oh my gosh, what an impressive, what a gutsy win, what a tough win. And then like a couple weeks later, actually the Buccaneers suck. It's like they were the same team back then that they are now. So it's like you can't say that they sucked then, or you can't say now that because you think they suck that you were like it doesn't make any sense. Like you can't just post facto be like, oh, actually that win is not good anymore because it turns out that team sucks. It's like the team at the time had a lot more to play for. Like the thing about the NFL is, right, okay, take a team like the Cardinals, okay? Cardinals early on, when they beat the Cowboys, right? They still had something, right? They still had something to play for. Their season wasn't over at that point. Like, but by the time they're at now, it's like, well, yeah, I mean, they're dead. Like the players are gonna not want to play as I mean, they're gonna play like they want to win, obviously, because they do want to win. But it's hard to get out of that funk, right? Like you lose like 5 straight or 3 straight or what have you. Like you're not gonna feel great about yourself. It's just not gonna happen. Whereas, we played the Buccaneers on the road and we won that game. We played the Falcons, who at that time, again, were a gutsy team. We're a tough team. Like, it's just one of those things where, like, yeah, I get it. Overall, the teams that we beaten, I don't look at it, I'm like super impressed, minus the Chiefs. But like, either way, you got to play your schedule. Okay. Nobody anticipated the Packers were going to be this bad, or that the Bears were going to be this bad, or that the Vikings were going to be this bad. Like, what do you want us to do? So, yeah, that's my rant about scheduling and all that sort of stuff. Anyways, how about them Cowboys? Now, I'm not going to yell it because it wasn't that bad of a loss, to be fair. Okay, they played actually really well. Dak put up monster numbers. And Jalen Hurts and the Eagles also put up monster numbers. I mean, it was just a really, really great game. It was one of those games where I was like, wait, this isn't even Sunday Night Football. Like, I was like, this is crazy. This is one of the best games of the week. And the only thing that I will say about the Cowboys, okay, is the way that they lost that game is boggling to me. Okay. First of all, you take a delay of game penalty, which, again, the worst penalty in the world to me that you can take is a delay of game, because a delay of game is indicative of 2 things, potentially. If you have a timeout, number 1, it's that your coach is too stupid to realize the play clock is going down and they're not hiking the ball, that you're not willing to use your timeout. Okay. If that play clock is at 1 and the play has not, and they have not snapped the ball, like, I'm calling a timeout. It's like, guys, unless we understand, unless we're all on the same page, right? Like, snap the ball. Like, be aware. Like, that to me is that's number 1. And number 2 is it is a penalty in that your team was not moving quick enough, essentially, especially when it's late in the game, like it was for the count. It's like, what are you doing? Like, line up. You should all know what the play is. It's 2-minute drills. Just, do your hand signals, call your shots, whatever. Everybody should know what the play is. It's going to be a pass, right? And like, there's just no, I just don't understand. I don't get it. And then on top of that, you have you throw the ball to CeeDee Lamb, who is not in the end zone. Your final play of the game is to throw the ball short of the end zone. That is no. I would be furious if I was a Cowboys fan. I understand you lost 5 yards, and I understand CeeDee Lamb is your best receiver. The only reason you throw a ball on the final play of the game when you need a touchdown, you throw a ball to a guy who is not in the end zone or not, depending on the situation where the yardage is. They had yardage where they had guys in the end zone. The only way you're not throwing it to the end zone is if the guy you are throwing to is 10 feet away from defenders. CeeDee Lamb caught that ball and there was a defender about 2-3 feet from him. Like what is, if I'm Dak Prescott, I get it. You throw the ball to a guy you know is going to catch the ball. But you're not putting your receiver in a place to succeed. Number one, if you're McCarthy, I don't know why anybody was not in the end zone. Again, unless his role was to move guys out of the end zone, in which case somebody else has got to be open in the end zone, right? If CeeDee Lamb is a decoy, right, and he's meant to draw guys out of the end zone to cover him, then that means somebody is being freed up. So look, I get it. Mistakes are going to be made, but that I would be furious. I would be upset. And finally, in the NFL, we got to talk about the Bengals play the Bills in a thriller. An absolute, really, really good game all around. But Bengals come out on top. And there's two takeaways I take from this game. Number one, the kiddies are alive and well. The Bengals are for real. I don't know what happens to this team where every year it seems, since the Super Bowl, every year they start out and they just I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how to play football. I stink. I'm dead. I don't know what's happening. And then they just come alive. And then they're just like, oh, wait a minute. I know what football is. I'm going to throw the ball. And they do. And it works somehow. A miracle. I don't understand it. I don't think anybody will understand it, but it works. And look, they're right back in it, and they're going to have a chance to win this division. They're certainly back in the playoff talk. No doubt about it. But credit them for sure. Joe Burrow just gets better and better as week goes by. And look, I'm glad I drafted him in fantasy. Even though those first few weeks, those were rough. Those were unfortunate. As far as the Bills go, I think you should be in panic mode at this point. You're 5-4, I believe, at this point. You really should think about what's going on in the season. The Dolphins are ahead of you in the division standings. You got to make a wild card at that point, assuming you don't come back and win the division. You got to make a wild card. And I just Bills team just doesn't feel right. Something about them just doesn't feel like the same Bills team that was dominating the NFL just a couple of years ago. It sucks because I really like Josh Allen. I really like the Bills team, but I don't know. It's just not working out. And, as time continues to go, you wonder how much longer Diggs has in Buffalo. You wonder how much longer the coach has in Buffalo, or Josh Allen for that matter. And it sucks because that's a really, really good team, a really fun team when they're ready. But man, Josh Allen it's not looking good. It's just not looking good. Now, we'll close out with a couple of points. I'm going to start on anger. Okay, I'm going to start on anger so that we end. Well, we're going to get to the picks, and then we can end on somewhat happy notes. Okay, so in the NBA. The Detroit Pistons right now are, needless to say, struggling. Okay, let me pull them up. Detroit Pistons right now, let's see, Pistons score, stats, highlights. Okay. Detroit Pistons have, why is it, is it showing, was it backwards? No. Detroit Pistons have lost now 5 straight. They've lost to basically everybody. Lost to Oklahoma City, lost to Portland, lost to New Orleans, lost to Phoenix, and lost to Golden State. Now, I want to just point out, okay, I'm going to go to some of these games. And I don't know if I can I wish I could go back and forth on each game, but there's one trend that I've noticed, okay? Let me see. Let me pull them up, okay? So let's start with the Golden State game, okay? 34 Or actually, I can just, you know what? This is going to be, I'm making this way harder on myself. Making this way harder on myself. Can I just get game log? Yeah, here we go. Game log. Here we go. So, in those losses, in the last 4 losses, I can't get the 5 because ESPN. Last 4 games, okay? 26, 39, 34, 34. Stat line, 11, 5, and 3. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Killian Hayes, who is playing over 30 minutes, over 4 games, shooting 11 points with 5.5 assists, 3.5 boards. Monty Williams, this is a public service announcement. I am begging you, and I think I speak for every reasonable Pistons fan. Please bench Killian Hayes. There is no reason that Killian Hayes is a starter on the Detroit Pistons. There's no reason. I don't want to hear, oh, well, you know, he just scored 21 points. Don't care. Don't care. He could score 21. He could score 2,100 points in a game. Don't care. He stinks. Okay? We've had this guy since 2020. Okay? We took him number 7 overall, and he stinks. He's bad at the game of basketball. For one, he's 6'5", just under 200 pounds. He's undersized. He is not, I mean, I get he's a point guard, but he can't shoot. He can't shoot. His total season stats right now, 9.5, 2 boards, 4 assists, shooting 38% from the field. He's a point guard who can't shoot, who can't defend, who can't really create many assists, who can't get rebound. What does he do? Like, what benefit is he? Okay, let's say for just a moment, let's say we're keeping him out there for defense, right? Okay, fine. We'll say that, even though I don't buy that at all. Whatever. Him on offense is actively hurting Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart and any of the other guys that are on offense. Jaden Ivey, if he's ever on the court at the same time, because Monty Williams has something against him. I don't know what it is. But, like, if you are putting him out there on the court on offense, I see it. When I watch the games, it's like the defense is like, well, just leave him open. Just leave him open. Because even if he does get a pass and take a shot, odds are he's going to miss. Odds are he shoots 38%. That means, 70 or 62% of his shots not going in, right? Like him being on the court is already a net negative. Like, it doesn't take a genius to figure that out, but it's the reality, okay? And the fact that Monty Williams is continually putting this guy out as a starter to me, it is borderline coaching malpractice, because why? Like, what is the logic behind this? Okay. I don't care that he works hard in practice. I don't care if he plays well in practice. In the games, he's ass. He's bad. He's awful. He's never been good. He has never had a season where he has shot over 38% from the field. Never. Like, he has never had a season, a full season, where he has shot 30% from 3. He's never had a season. Like, I keep going. He's never had a season where he's had, he's averaged over 10 points a game. Never. It doesn't happen. And because it hasn't happened yet, it's never going to happen. I don't care that he's only, 21 or 22 years old. Okay? Sometimes you just don't got it. And he just don't got it. All right? Cade Cunningham is younger than this guy, and he's got it. All right? He knows what he's doing. He can score. He can shoot from 3 on occasion. He's a bit of a turnover machine, but to be fair to him, he has nobody to pass the ball to. And he's always going to get double teamed, so it's going to be a lot easier for teams to get him to turn the ball over. And I wish he would pass the ball a little bit more. But, I mean, when your teammates are Killian Hayes and Isaiah Stewart, I mean, no disrespect to Isaiah Stewart. He's playing a lot better than I expected. He's been pretty okay. But like, it's hard to have those guys as your reliable duo. So, yeah. Monty Williams, please. I'm begging you. Please. Bench Killian Hayes. I don't want to see him on my TV. I just don't. So, moving on from that. We do still have my Red Wings. I'm garbed up in Red Wings attire. And right now they're losing 1-0 to the Rangers. Still early though, so they could still come back and win here. But taking a look at the Red Wings, let me pull up their schedule. That's not at all what I wanted. I wanted to Google the Red Wings. Okay. Let's do that. Taking a look at how they've been the last couple of games. They've kind of been stumbling a little bit. Okay. So last week they were coming off of a couple of losses in a row. And let me see. Can I get the actual dates? Because I don't remember when some of these games were specifically. So they went into Tuesday when was last week's show? Last week's show was Halloween. So they had just come off of a nice win to the Islanders in overtime. But prior to that, they had lost 3 straight. They lost to Florida in a 2-0 shutout. Then they beat Boston in a 5-4 comeback win. They were down 2-0. Like, they're kind of stumbling a little bit, but yet they remain second in the division. They remain one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. Now, obviously, as it progresses, I think it'll sort of water will find its level. But look, right now they're playing pretty good hockey. And looking at their roster, as far as, here we go. Stats, not just roster. As far as, production, you're getting it from a good amount of players. I mean, shout out Mo Seider and Lucas Raymond, both with 10 points or more to start the season. They're having a great start. Dylan Larkin leading the team with 17 points. You have DeBrincat with 14 points, who frankly has been on a bit of a cold streak as of late, but he's still productive for this team. And again, he's just such a great addition. But right now, I'm liking the lead of Larkin, DeBrincat, Seider, Raymond. That's how it should be, right? Those should be your 4 best players on the ice any given night. And they seem to be doing it. Larkin leads us in assists. DeBrincat leads us in goals. It's a good time. Hopefully they can come back and win this game. But look, this is a good Red Wings team. So I'm not so much intimidated by the fear that they're like going to just completely stumble. But I do want to see them go on another one of those win streaks. They started the year where they were so high, they won 5 straight. Like that was great. That was awesome. I want to see them do another one of those. Just go on a month where you're just dominating. You're just beating down guys like it's nothing. And I don't know. Maybe it'll start tonight. I don't know. If they win tonight, it'll be 2 in a row. But it's hard to win in this league. But right now, you set yourself up to where you're in the playoff picture, and assuming you don't just completely wallow to the ground, you're going to stay in there. So keep it up, Wings, and hey, maybe we can have some playoff hockey in this city. And speaking of playoffs and success and things, I don't know how to transition. It is now time, I believe. Did I get everything? I did. I did get everything. Excellent. It is now time for everybody's favorite part of the show. Everybody's raving about it. I've been hearing about it in the television and in the news cycle. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody wants to see it. And it's the picks. So let me go ahead and pull up Mr. Seth's picks, and we will play the music. And I don't remember. Let's see. Did we do 3 last week? I'm trying to think now. Hold on. We did 2. Did we do? I don't remember. I think we're on 3. Let me just play it and see what happens. Actually, you know what? Hold on. I can look. This is real-time stuff, folks. Hold on. I can look on YouTube right now Hold on. Hold your horses. Hold your horses. Okay? I can judge based on the... You know what? I can just... Nah. Yeah, we'll just... I think it's... I could just look on YouTube Studio on the app. Do we have a copyright on this one? Or wait, I could probably just... okay, that's not what I wanted. I have to look on the actual thing on YouTube. This is all scintillating stuff, I'm sure. No, we did not. So I think, because what was this one? Yeah, okay. So, okay. We are on music number 4. Okay. We're going to cut all that out. And now it's time for everybody's favorite part of the show. It's time for everybody's favorite part of the show. It's the picks. Here we go. Play the music. Put it at, like, that volume should be good. All right. Here we go. So, Thursday night football. We have quite possibly the ugliest matchup I've ever seen on a Thursday night football game, and I've said that basically every week. But it never ends with this terrible, terrible thing that Amazon has brought. We have the Panthers visiting the Bears. Apparently, they didn't want to flex this game. I don't know. Everybody's stupid. Seth is taking the Panthers to win this game, and I will agree. Look, the Panthers are terrible, but the Bears, man. I mean, what they got? Todd Magoo at quarterback. I don't think things are gonna go well for Chicago for the time being. Yeah, give me the Blue Cats to win this game on the road. Colts at the Patriots. This is the other Germany game, I believe. Seth is taking the Colts in this one. Yeah, I will agree. Patriots are terrible. I can't trust Bill Belichick at this point. He sucks. He's bad. It's not good. Things are going terrible for them. Yeah, give me the Colts to pull off the German win, I guess. I think this is Germany. I don't know. I know it's not actually at New England, but... Browns at the Ravens. Real test here for the Browns defense. And a test for the Ravens offense. So, Seth is taking the Ravens to win this game. And I'm going to go with the trend. I'm going to agree. I mean, the Browns have such a terrible offense that I think if the Ravens can just score like 14 points, something like that, like, I think they should be good, which is crazy to think about. But, yeah, the Browns are bad. They're real bad. So, yeah, I'll take the Ravens in the divisional game, especially because Lamar Jackson seems to just have the Browns number. I don't know what it is. Texans at the Bengals. This is actually a surprisingly interesting game. Seth is taking the Bengals in this one. I will agree, just given the way that Joe Burrow has continued to get better every single week. Look, CJ Stroud has looked really good, and this would be a huge win. If he can pull off a win here on the road and beat the Bengals, I think considerations for, not winning MVP, but getting some MVP votes, especially if they can continue to play the way, it's a consideration. Like, the Bengals are a really good team. And CJ Stroud, this is probably his biggest test of all right now. So, yeah, give me the Texans. The 49ers heading to Jacksonville, taking on the Jaguars. Seth is taking the Niners. And I'm gonna disagree. I'm gonna take the Jaguars. I know that the 49ers coming off their bye. They're probably feeling a little bit better. They're banged up, getting back from some of the injuries, feeling a little healthier. I believe the Jaguars also coming off their bye, though. So, similar situation. Two teams coming off their bye. And I feel like the Jaguars are more settled. I don't know. Something about the 49ers, those 3 losses in a row, really make me feel weird about them. So, yeah, I'll take the... Okay, that's wonderful. That's going in the video. I'll take the Jaguars over the Niners. Saints at the Vikings. Seth is taking the Vikings. And, I can't say I blame him. I mean, for one, the Saints stink. They're terrible. They're so bad. I mean, it's bad when, you're just like Derek Carr and just everything bad about this thing. Nothing is going well for them at all. And the Vikings, everything's going bad for them on the outside, but in the games, hey man, they're winning. Like, and it's going to be back at home. Josh Dobbs going to have his first home game as a Viking. Yeah, give me the Vikings to win this game as the Rangers take a 2-0 lead. That's not ideal. Not ideal, Bob. Packers at the Steelers. Seth is taking the Steelers in this game. Yeah, I'm going to agree here. We've agreed on a lot of these. There really aren't that many divisive matchups so far. The Steelers are really good on defense, and the Packers are really bad on offense. I don't like that combination for Jordan Love. And I think it's just like one or two plays on offense of the Packers, the Vikings. The Steelers have to make in order to win this game. Yeah, give me the Steelers. Titans at the Buccaneers. Seth is taking the Buccaneers. And this is where I am going to divulge again. I'm taking the Titans. Okay? The Buccaneers just blew a game they had won. And Will Levis, credit to him, on Thursday night against the Steelers last week, he looked pretty solid. I mean, that was a game they most certainly could have won, but that failed to finish. Yeah, I'll take the Titans in this one. I think that Will Levis might have something going. He feels confident. He's QB1 from now on, according to Mike Vrabel. So, yeah, give me the Titans. Up next, the Falcons at the Cardinals, the Battle of the Birds. Seth is taking the Falcons, and it's pretty hard for me not to take the Falcons, just given the fact that the Cardinals are so bad. They don't have a quarterback, although Kyler Murray is going to be back, but is that really going to help this team? He's got no weapons. I don't know that he's all that good. I'll take the Falcons defense to just stop them. It's going to be a boring game. I know that for a fact. It's just going to be bad. Bad overall. Up next, we have the fated matchup. The matchup I've been waiting for all season. Lions heading to LA to take on the Los Angeles Chargers of San Diego. Arnold Schwarzenegger in the building.
Go Chargers, go!
There he is. Beautiful. Beautiful from the Schwarzenegger. Seth is, of course... Oh! In a deviation, Seth is taking the Lions to beat his Chargers. Seth does not care about his Chargers. They are... Oh, my... That is... Oh, my God. The Chargers are like...
Come back!
Seth!
Come back!
Oh my! That is wow. I didn't read these picks initially. These are my live reactions. I always do that. I don't read his picks beforehand. That is wild. I'm gonna have to talk to him later on about this because that's crazy. He's taken the Lions over his Chargers. I mean, I agree. And now it's 3-0 for the Rangers. This is really not good. I gotta say, man, to get into the game, yeah, I think the Lions are gonna win. Jared Goff. I think has overall been more consistent than Justin Herbert, especially on offense. Chargers just don't look good on offense. They're coming off a short week as well. They played just yesterday on Monday night, so they're not in the ideal spot. And the Lions just got healthy over the bye week. Frank Ragnow, Jonah Jackson, David Montgomery, all expected to play on Sunday, barring terrible things the rest of the week. So yeah, I really feel confident about the Lions going into this game. I don't know if they're going to crush them, but I think they're going to win them. I think they're going to win this game. So, yeah, give me the Lions. It's going to be basically a neutral site game. I mean, you're going to have probably a lot more Jared Goff from, obviously going to Cal. You're going to have a lot of Cal fans making the trip to go see Jared Goff. And maybe some old Rams fans who are still around that want to go see Jared Goff, as well as the Lions fans that seem to always travel on the road. So, yeah, give me the Lions. Up next, we have the fated rematch from Week 1. The Giants at the Cowboys. Seth, I imagine just taking the Cowboys. Yeah, he's taking the Cowboys because, of course, you have to take the Cowboys. Look, as much as I don't like the Cowboys, the Giants stink. They're so bad that they're going to start Tommy DeVito at quarterback. Daniel Jones out for the season with an AC or a torn Achilles. And it's just not good. It's not good in East Rutherford, New Jersey. It's not ideal. We'll leave it at that. Yeah, give me the Cowboys. Up next, the Commanders taking on the Sea Chickens. Seth is taking the Sea Chickens to beat the Commanders. Yeah, I will agree. As terrible as the Seahawks looked last week, I don't think they're a bad team. I think they're a sneaky wild card team, kind of a gutsy team, a team that's tough to beat. And the Commanders, I mean, hey, they won last week against New England. Big whoop. You beat New England by like 3. I don't really give you much credit. You lost your 2 best players on defense. So, yeah, give me the Seahawks. I think they're going to win this game pretty easily. And then Sunday night, in what I can only describe as, again, football cancer, the Jets head to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. Seth is taking the Raiders, and I will agree. The Jets are very, very bad. Zach Wilson is very, very bad. To quote Stephen A. Smith, hold on, where is it? Where is it? Looking for it. This is bad. This is very, very bad. That's what the Raiders are, or that's what the Jets are. I mean, you don't score. You score like 6 points or something. I don't even know. They look terrible. They look terrible against the Chargers, and the Chargers don't have a great defense. And I don't think the Raiders have a good defense either. But I don't see this working out. Raiders feeling good about themselves after a blowout win. You know, I feel like they're gonna take the win here. So give me the Raiders. And then finally, Monday Night Football, Broncos visiting the Bills. Seth is taking the Bills. Yeah, I feel like you got to take... Jeez, I cough a lot. Oh, I'm still sort of getting over that illness, unfortunately. Yeah, I'll take the Bills in this one. I don't trust the Broncos. I just don't. I'm sorry. I know you're coming off of the high of beating the Chiefs, and you went into your bye and feeling good about yourself. But no, you're still a terrible team. Russell Wilson still sucks. Sean Payton is still an idiot. Give me the Bills. So to wrap it up, Panthers, Bears. We are both taking the Panthers. Colts, Patriots. We are both taking the Colts. Browns, Ravens. We are both taking the Ravens. Texans, Bengals. We are both taking the Bengals. 49ers, Jaguars. Seth is taking the 49ers. I am taking the Jaguars. Saints, Vikings. We are both taking the Vikings. Packers, Steelers. We are both taking the Steelers. Titans, Buccaneers. Seth is taking the Buccaneers. I am taking the Titans. Falcons, Cardinals. We are both taking the Falcons. Lions, Chargers. We are both taking the Lions. Giants, Cowboys. We are both taking the Cowboys. Commanders, Seahawks. We are both taking the Seahawks. Jets, Raiders. We are both taking the Raiders. And Broncos, Bills. We are both taking the Bills. And that is where we wrap up the picks. And wrap up the show. So, a bit of a mixed bag of a show. But we will be back next week again. And next Sunday, we'll be back doing Lions-Chargers. Little Lions-Chargers action. Unfortunately, Seth will not be able to join for that either, which really sucks because I was really looking forward to doing a duel. Both of us live reacting to our team's plan, but fortunately, he will not be able to make it to that game. We'll see if he can make it to future games, though. Especially when we play the Broncos. I'm sure he'll want to enjoy that. But they're interviewing Derek Lalone. Hey, Derek, your team's down by 3. I don't think you should be talking in the news. So, yeah, that is it for tonight's show. I appreciate anybody for stopping by, checking in. And, that is it for tonight. We will see you. I will see you on Sunday for the Lions-Chargers game. That is a 4:05 or 4:30 start, I believe. So it'll be a little bit later stream, but we'll be live reacting to that game, and then we'll go from there, hopefully. I think there's going to be a lot of news this week, so should be some interesting stuff next week. But that's where we wrap it up. Have a great night, everybody, and take care. See you later.